Alright, so today I'm going to show you how I do my day-to-day college basketball model operations, start to finish, what I do every morning. And it's a process, but part of having a successful model is that you have to be willing to put in the work. So there are no shortcuts here. So let's get started. So my college basketball system consists of 5 different Excel files, and all of them have their own uses. So the first thing I do every morning is I open up the odds and scores file and the edge analysis file. And then I go to sports reference and I look at the scores from the night before. So instead of manually having to enter in all the scores from the night before, I have a system or a macro in here in Excel in which I can just copy and paste them and it'll automatically generate them. So what I do is I take these scores right here and I copy and paste them. And the benefit of the sports reference website is that it copy and pastes in this nice little line by line format right here. And then I have a system to match the names of the teams in sports reference to the names that I use for my models, so everything's in sync. And so then I go into the edge analysis file and I find the games from yesterday, so day 54, and I go down to the bottom and I copy and paste it right here, and then I run the macro score match. And there we go. It aligns all the scores up. Now, not all of them are in there because some of the hyphenated team names are a bit of a pain and I had to enter them in manually, but it's not too big of a deal. It's only a few. All right, and there we go. So I can take these numbers right here and I can drop them into the edge analysis file starting at day 54. Here's where the scores go right here, and then I can drag this down and see the results. Now last night, January 2nd, was not a good night for me, so I'm guessing it's all red. And what I can do is I can apply a filter and I can select day 54 to see how the results were last night. And I know it's bad. Yeah, look, pretty much all red except combo and ATM percentage, which has been one of the best metrics of the year. And money line is terrible across the board. So yeah, it wasn't a good night for day 54. So I can close this odds file for now and I open up the key generator file. So the key generator file is very important. It's what helps generate the keys for all the metrics. So when I'm making keys, I don't use the entire season's worth of data. That would take too long to process, and a lot of it is outdated. I mean, day one, I don't want day one in there because, all preseason ratings and all that. So what I have found as a sweet spot is usually the last 600 or so games. I do a rolling average of the last 600 or so games to find my keys. So I think the last 600 games falls into greater than 39. Yeah, so 1242, this number right here, so divided by 2 is about 621. So that means I'm going to generate keys based on the last 621 games. I feel like 600 is a good scientific number for a statistically significant sample size. That's what I'm looking for. It's high enough because you want your data to be fresh, right? You don't want any old, outdated data in there for your keys or any days that are really like skewing the keys, how good they actually did. Like there's one big money line hit, but nothing but losses apart from that. You want that filtered out eventually. But you want to keep the data fresh, which is why I usually do a rolling 600 game average, which is usually about the past 14 to 17 days. So I can close the edge analysis file now. And now I have my key generator file. So the key generator file uses this report builder tab. If you've seen my football videos, you know kind of how it works, but let me show you exactly what this is. So the report builder basically analyzes how well all my metrics do. Now I have sets of metrics. I have the margin metrics, the cover percentage metrics, the money line metrics, and then the results, right? So for example, ATM margin edge is column number 46 on the results tab right here, and it's the ATM margin edge prediction. And then column number 79 is its result. So how did it do? Did it lose minus 110? Did it win 100? Or did it push 0? If I were to do a report based on that metric, so metric number 46 greater than 0, and have it sort on 46 and then 79 is its result column, D just means it's descended sort, and then 40 to 54, remember 40 is the first day and 54 is the last day in the sample, and then I hit this button. When ATM margin edge is greater than 0 over this span, so day 40 to 54, it is plus 22.1 units for an ROI of 3.6%, which is good, right? But the point of this report builder is to find what to replace a 0 with. So I have it sorted largest to smallest. Let me show you what this looks like on a graph. So this is what it looks like on a graph, this column right here, all the ATM metrics. See how it gets high and then goes low? So we're trying to find what the sweet spot is, where to stop, when it stops becoming profitable or as profitable, right? So we've determined that number is 1.67791, illustrated in graph form. See how it peaks right here? That's where our 1.67791 is. This is the number we're looking for. And let me scroll up to that. So here it is right here. I'm going to highlight the column. So 1.67791 is our key for the ATM metric because it peaks at a gross QM of 33.1 units, ROI of 13.5%. Everything below that is unprofitable because it goes down from that 33.1, 13.5% peak. So you don't want to play anything below that on this metric. So then you just change this to greater than 1.6779. And there you go, these two match, and it only lists ATM margin edge figures greater than 1.6779, which is 33.1, 13.5 units. A lot better than greater than 0. And that's the concept of the report builder. That's how you generate keys right there, is you do that for all your metrics, you combine them and find out which ones are the best, the most profitable. Now I do it based on QM and not ROI, because as you can see, there's an ROI of 100% when it's greater than 15.5, but that's way too picky. You're not going to get your money's worth. You're looking for the right combination of the two. And that's why I use QM instead of ROI. Now, as you can see, I have 658 different metrics that I analyze in that method automatically to find out which one of the metrics in the combos are the best way to go. So I have this system right here that does it automatically. So this was yesterday's run finish. So for example, Blender, right? Blender is a metric. So when Blender is greater than 0, you have a total QM of 7.2 units, 1.2% ROI. But the peak is 0.597012. When that key is applied, you have a peak QM of 17.63.5. So it does this for all the metrics. But I can also combine metrics too. So look at this one, Blender, ATM, Nickel. When all three of them are greater than 0, we have a total QM is 16.7 units, 6.5%. But it then finds which of those three metrics are the best in terms of a peak, and it determined metric number 46, which is ATM. When that is greater than 0.734375, you have a peak QM of 35.7 units, ROI of 18.6%. That was yesterday, and a peak total of 191. Now, the higher the peak total is, the less selective it is. The lower the peak total is, the more picky it is. So you're looking for the right combo, and I'll get to that in a second. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this column to 40 because that's our start day, and end to 54, which is our end day. Scroll that down. That's the only thing I need to change. I guess I can clear this. I don't need it. It's from yesterday. And then I hit this number right here, and it'll start automatically calculating all these things, right? And it takes a while. It takes a few minutes to go through all the metrics, so I will resume back when it's done. But while it's doing this, let me point out just how it's doing right now. Yeah, so you can see Blender, for example, not too much change from yesterday, up to 0.781173. But for the most part, things don't really change day to day that much. It's really when you have a big day, like a ton of games, like a Saturday, for example, where things will change. So I don't do this every day. I don't do the key generator every day. I really only do it when there's enough turnover to justify it, right? Like, for example, Mondays and Fridays during the conference play season, there's not a lot of games, so it's probably not worth it to do this whole process again just when you're adding a few games to the ledger. So I usually do this about 3 to 5 times a week, just depending on various things. Like, for example, if I have things to do in the morning and don't have time to do this and only have time to really get the model going, I won't do this. But 3 to 5 times a week is about right. So this is going, and I'll pick up when it's done. All right, so it calculated all the numbers. So what I do is I take all the results here and I copy it over to here, all right? And so what we're looking for is the right combination of peak total and ROI. So this index number right here is the peak ROI times the peak total, because you don't want it to be too picky, but you still want the ROI to be high. So what's the best combination? Well, I sort these, and there we go. So one thing I do is I make sure penny is not in there because that is a calibration metric only, and there we go. Now, white numbers are spread plays, so the top indexing metric is combo dollar. So when combo and dollar are greater than 0, that is the top indexing metric. If you watch my videos, I told you combo is going to make a comeback, and it is. So now I'm not done though. I don't just leave it at that. What I do is I further break it down. So I go back over to Report Builder. Combo is 53 and dollar percentage is 61. So both greater than 0, and then 53 over here equals I3 plus 33, just because the result is always 33 slots over. I come back over here and I look at this peak number right here. This column right here says which of the metrics here was the best, and that was combo for this combination. So I already know to start with combo, and then I run the report, and there we go. When combo is greater than 1.437 or 1.4369 in this case, there. What I'm looking is for these two numbers to match, okay? But I'm not just gonna leave it at that, right? I also wanna see where dollar, although not as strong as combo, where dollar percentage measures out as well. So greater than 0.016. And then I run combo again just to make sure everything evens out, and it does. All right, so there is our key. The key set here is combo greater than 1.4369 and dollar percentage greater than 0.0159. That is our first key for spreads. And I copy and paste this right here. And over the past 600 games, this key set has profited 48.3 units for an ROI of 25.2%. And then I just go down the line. So I don't just leave it at that. So that's the starting point, right? So what I'm looking for here is higher ROIs than combo dollar. So I'm looking for anything higher than 21.4%. I go down the list. Okay, here we go. Dollar nickel combo. So now I'm looking for anything higher than 25.8%. I have to scroll down a bit. You don't want to scroll down too far because it'll get more picky. Anything? Okay, 26.3%. So we got 3 that tie for that. So I'm going to select the one that has the highest non-key cum, which is this one right here. So half ATM. So that's 26.3%. Anything higher than that? 28.8. ATM half combo. Is there anything in the 30s? Yes. Okay, so we have this one, ATM nickel half. And I'm going to stop there. I don't want to go too far down. So I'm going to filter by color. And these are 5. So I'm going to do dollar nickel combo. It's pretty much the same as this, just with nickel added in there. So add nickel 48. And what is our primary metric? Go back here. Our primary metric is still combo 53. So we start with 53, and it's still 1.437. All right. And then I do the same for dollar again. Still at that. And then nickel. What does nickel come in at? 0.2, so not too much. And there we go, it's all the same. So I copy and paste this. It has a lower cum, but a higher ROI. So it's more selective, but it wins more than this metric over here. So the idea is that the ones over here are gonna have higher cums, but lower ROIs. And as you go along, lower cums, higher ROIs. So now I'm gonna do the same for half ATM, so 51.55. Metric 55, which is ATM cover percentage, has probably been the best metric of the season so far. And that is our key metric. So greater than 0.0689, I'll do 8919. There we go. And then I do the same thing for half, and nothing changed. So, and here's why we're not going to use this. Because the ROI, 26.3%, is lower than this, but it also has a lower cum. So there's no point in using a metric that has a lower cum and ROI than this metric right here. If both of them are lower than one you already have, you throw it out. You don't need to use it. So we're not going to use that. ATM half combo, so 51, 53, 55. So pretty much just adding combo onto this. 55 is still our key metric, greater than 0.0723. And then let's see what 51 looks like. Nothing changed. And then combo. Okay, greater than 1.13514. This number right here. Let's run it again. And did anything change for 51? Nope. Did anything change for 55? Nope. Okay, so there's our key. So we have a higher ROI than anything we've seen so far. We're going to use it. And that is our third key. And then lastly, we got ATM nickel half. So pretty much just changing combo to nickel. 55 is still our key metric. This time it's 0.07871. 51, nothing should change. Nope. And then 48, does anything change? Okay, greater than 0.39013. And anything changed there? Nope. Anything change here? Nope. Okay, so this is our fourth set of key. It does have a higher ROI than anything we've seen, so we're going to use it. And those are going to be our 4 spread keys for today. And now we do the same thing for Moneyline. Now, Moneyline hasn't been doing as well lately as spreads, so it's probably going to be a bit more picky. So I filter by color blue, and our highest indexing is ATM, just ATM by itself. Peak cum of 31.7 and ROI of 17.3. So I'm going to go down the list and find everything that's higher. Okay, so you can see, like, these are really high ROIs, but look how picky they are. Over the past 600 games, it's only selected 26, 17, 15. That's really picky, so something to keep in mind. Yeah, some of these are just way too picky. Yeah, I'll stop right here. Man, that is some picky metrics. All right, filter by color yellow. So we're gonna start with ATM. And the one difference here is that I have a money line cutoff, and that right now is minus 201. And here's why it's so low. Because I subscribe to that methodology where I only play no more than 1/5 of my bankroll on any given day. And when you have a bunch of high money lines in there, like minus 400, minus 500, you're tying up a lot into those plays, and you have to spread your bankroll real thin. So I just really pick dogs and small favorites. So running this, we got greater than 0.01704 or 39 in this case. And there we go. That's our first key for money lines. Bring it over here, and then we can go down the line. ATM dime quarter, so 64, 67, 68. Let's see if 64 is still the same. It is. It's still that number, so we don't have to run that again. So we can go straight to 67. Okay, that didn't change. 68. That did change. Greater than 0.02587. Run that again. No change. Run this again. Whoops. No change. Okay, so this is our next set of keys. So it has a nearly twice as high of an ROI but a lower cum. So we're still going to use both of these. Moving down the list where it starts to get really picky, ATM dime. So it's basically just taking this out of the equation. So the ATM is still our main key, but it changes. So greater than 0, let's see what it is. Greater than 0.09743. Oh, that's so picky. Like with these keys, yeah, the ROI is really high, but you might have one. Look at this. On day 47, we had 12 plays in there, but everything else is like 1, 2. Some days there's not any at all. So you'll be lucky to get a play that meet these keys every day. It's ultra selective, but it's not always a good thing. All right, so going down the list, ATM dime quarter half. So that didn't change. 68. All right, so we're going to get even more picky. 69, no change. 67. No change. All right, so there we go. 102.8% ROI. All right, and here's what we can do. Look, so the cum is higher and the ROI is higher than this set of keys right here, so we can replace it. We don't, like I said, if you have a set of keys that outclasses another key's cum and ROI, you can just replace it. So no need to keep that one. ATM nickel dime, 64, 66, 67, greater than 0.06082. Yeah, so 140.3% ROI. I'm going to stop there. I'm not even going to bother with the next one because there's really no point. So I'm going to copy and paste this right here. And there we go. So we have a perfect sliding scale on both. So those are our keys. That is the key generation process. So I open up the edge analysis file again. I get rid of these old keys and I bring in the new keys. And there we go. That is key generation. That is step 1. So I can close this, don't need it anymore. And now I move on to the next step. I can also close this for now. So I move on to the next step, and that is grabbing the stats. So I update the stats every morning, and that's what this file is for, the stats grabber. So what it does is it grabs all the stats that I use for my model from the various sources. I have 4 different sources, and I will give you a freebie. One of these stats I use is Jeff Sagarin's USA Today college basketball ratings. Not everything you do needs to be done in-house. You don't need to make all of your own stats. Don't be afraid to borrow stats from other people like I do here at Jeff Sagarin, right? There's nothing wrong with it. If it's publicly available to use it. Find stats that you don't create yourself that might work for your models. I create both in-house stats and I borrow stats like this. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't be ashamed. You don't have to always recreate the wheel yourself if it's already been made by someone else. But anyway, I bring that in here and I copy. And this button right here not only formats the Sagarin stats, but it also pulls all the stats from my other sources, crunches them all, and puts them into the all ratings page right here. So I'm going to hit the button. This takes a couple minutes, so I'll be back when it's done. All right, so this box popped up that says complete with no errors. That's what I want. It means that everything was synchronized perfectly. And when I say synchronized, it means when you're pulling stats from a bunch of various different sources, like not everybody's name is going to be consistent across all the sources. Like for example, UAB might be called Alabama Birmingham and some other stat sources, right? So you want to make sure everything is synchronized and lines up and every team gets the right stat slotted in for them. So I go over to the all ratings page and everything is there. I just have it blacked out because I want to keep all the other stat sources secret in what I'm doing there. The reason I have this one not blacked out is because I already told you what it is, but the other 6 are top secret. So what I do is, now that we have all these stats ready to go and everybody has the right stats slotted for them, I open up the model file. And this is where all the magic happens. This is where all the predictions happen. So I come over here to the master ratings tab and I copy and paste from here all the way down and I bring it over here. So now what it did is that these are the raw numbers right here, but what these numbers right here represent are constant adjusted ratings, meaning I adjust all the ratings based on seasonal constants, so that way you could compare past seasons apples to apples and you don't have like certain things skewing numbers. For example, like the 3-point line got moved back this year in college basketball, so I'm guessing scoring might be down a little bit. You use constants to normalize things like that so you can compare everything apples to apples, right? And so that's what all these numbers are. They're constant adjusted numbers. But with those numbers in here, we can start actually doing some predictions. So I come over here and just make sure everything kind of checks out a little bit. And then we can set the stage. So those are yesterday's games. We can get rid of these. And so what I'm going to do, I can get rid of the stats grabber file. I don't need that open anymore. And so what we do is I open the odds and scores file again. And this time we're going to use this tab right here. Clear this. And my online book of choice is 5 Dimes. So what I do is I type in 5 Dimes live lines. And I come here and I click on this and I can copy and paste this into my formatter. So I copy and paste all the January 3rd games, which is today. I put it right here and I click this button and there we go. It's all in a nice table. But not all the names match up to the names of my models, so I need to correct those. Detroit. So I can copy and paste these over here into this right here. I don't think there's any neutral games. I think those are behind us for now. So I make sure all those are home games. And then I don't think there's any extra games today. College extra. No, those are all tomorrow. So I can close that. And these are the 16 games we're going to use tonight. Close this. Don't need it anymore. And now I click this button and it makes the predictions. What the M factor does is that it takes each team and determines how close they are to the mean, how much of an outlier they are. So the higher into the number, the less of an outlier the teams are. The lower the number, the more of an outlier that the matchup is. So really the best teams and the worst teams are going to have low M factors, while the mediocre average teams are going to have high M factors. Also, teams that play at faster or slower paces are going to be lower M factors. Like Virginia almost always has a low M factor because their tempo is so slow. I already ran this morning. I'm just doing this over again for the sake of this video, but I think there are 17 games this morning, so there might be a game going on right now that's not showing up in the odds, is my guess. But I'm pretty sure there is 17 this morning. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. All right, so now with that being done, I can copy and paste this, and I'm going to open up the edge analysis file again. So I'm going to copy and paste these into here, and day 55 down, and then I also add the ID number, just so if I want to sort it chronologically in the future, I can. So I can close the model file and come back into here. So we're almost done. Now we run our keys through. So I have a key doer is what I call it. So the key doer, I copy and paste that into here and day 55. So it'll look to see what all games meet these criteria on day 55. I hit this button right here and we have 5 games that meet that set of key criteria. And I copy and paste. I bring it over here and there we go. And then I do the same thing for the next set of keys. So we only have 2 that meet that set of keys. So I put it right here. Next set of keys a little bit different, so we might get some new ones in here. 2, any new, okay, Green Bay, they weren't in the other set. So Green Bay is a newcomer. And the last set of keys, okay, none. So no plays meet this set of criteria, so that's fine. So I hit this button right here, and these are our spread plays for the day, right here. And then I do the same thing for the money line keys. So I take this set of keys, simply just the ATM, and that's it. And since it's only 1 key and it's a pretty low number, that might be a lot there, but we only have 6 only, yeah. If that were Saturday, it would have been like 60. And then, yeah, on days like Saturdays where there's a lot of games, I won't use those set of keys on the left because they're not picky enough, and I just don't have the bankroll or the will to put money on that many games. Like there's some days where there'll be like 70 that meet the criteria and you're like, no, that's not happening. Okay, Nebraska meets the next set of keys, only Nebraska. So there's a chance that these even pickier keys might not have anybody meet the criteria. Don't be surprised if it's 0 and it's 1. I'm guessing it's Nebraska, and it is. So surprisingly, that set of keys is the pickiest set of keys going to be there. Let's see. If it's anybody, it'll be Nebraska. And it is Nebraska. So Nebraska meets the most picky set of keys. And there we go. So we got 6 spread keys, 6 money line keys. Okay, so then what I do is I open up my college basketball indicators file, which is the thing you see me post on Twitter every day. So I already did this morning in Niagara. Okay, they're the team. They must be playing right now because they didn't show up in the report builder, or they didn't show up in the list of games. So they must be playing right now. So that explains it. But with that being said, I already did this earlier. So what I do to determine the multiplier is it's pretty simple. I go back over to the keys and, 3.43 minus 25.2, 1.1, right? So I add like 10% onto the plays that meet this criteria, and that was Ball State and Green Bay, right? And then I'll add like 5% on the ones that meet this criteria and just keep this one at 1. Pretty simple, right? For money line, pretty much the same concept, but only Nebraska met this one over here. I didn't do a 2.2, I just did a 2, right? So everyone else only met this set, so they're just going to be a 1. Nebraska's a 2. So it's pretty arbitrary. It's not too much coded into science or any hard numbers. I kind of do it at my own discretion, right? But that's how I determine the multiplier. So what I do is I make sure the total units risk is 20 or less, and with a base unit of 1 today, there's not that many games. It's going to be 15.43. And then I copy and paste this and upload it to Twitter, and that's pretty much it. That's how I determine which games to play every day for college basketball. It's a process, but you have to have a process in order to profit. There's no easy streets. There's no shortcuts. You have to put in this kind of work in order to see any results. And if you don't want to do that, then you have to expect to lose because you're going to. And that's why people are probably so attracted to touts and paying for picks and all that stuff, is because they think the touts are doing things like this. They're not. They're flipping coins and giving you both sides. But this is how you have to have a process like this, not exactly like this, but you have to have some kind of method and model and structure to profit. So I hope this video is informative, educational, maybe gives you some inspiration on how to structure your own processes, but I do this every day and it's paid off for me so far this season. It takes work, but there's no free lunches here. That wraps it up for today. Until next time, this is Sports Betting Truth signing off.